let's give the people what they want, Mr.
What's that?
Mr. Knight.
Should we cut? Go home?
Yeah.
Is that what they
Thanks
want?
for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
I'm going to do my little intro thing that I do.
Please do. I love the sound of your voice.
And then, you know what has never occurred to me, right? I should say this in a second. This is going to be weird.
Use your words.
Welcome back to the Safety Meeting Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Isaac Heckert. Today's very special guest, Josh Knight.
How do?
The thing that I was just stumbling on saying a second ago was that it just occurred to me that you and Travis Knight share the same last name.
We do.
And I never put that together.
Unrelated, but yes.
Yeah.
I've worked with him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you like him?
Yeah, good dude.
Okay.
Indeed.
I was hoping you'd talk some shit.
Nah. It's
Episode
not my style.
3,
Not my
guys,
style.
is Mr. Knight.
3?
Episode 3 was Mr. Travis.
Oh, all right.
This is episode 39. 40? Might be 40.
So
We'll see.
you're keeping tabs. I'm not.
That's
I just
right.
listen.
I gotta ask my producers what episode it is.
They'll tell you.
Riveting shit here.
Keep it deep.
For those of you at home, if you'll
Shit.
check this out, Jeremy Robinson. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with Josh Knight.
Click.
Oh, hang on. What? Oh,
You
there it
hung
is.
up.
Now we hit the right buttons. Caller, are you there, caller? He can hear you.
He can't hear me.
Jeremy,
Hi, how are you?
good. You're on the show right now.
What are you wearing?
I liked it.
Yeah,
Calling in.
you sound like
Yeah,
shit.
how's the show? I do, I know. This fucking Bluetooth sucks.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Is there something I can help you with, or can we call you back after the show?
No, you can call me back later, pal.
I didn't realize my phone was connected to
Answer
the
the
roadcaster.
question, Jeremy. What are you wearing?
Yeah, what are you wearing?
Nothing.
Yes.
All right.
Boots, cut off shorts, no shirt.
I'll be right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll be right there. All right, you guys have a good show. I'll talk to you after.
Cool. We're gonna cut this part out. Awesome. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
A little less eventful than we thought.
That and this is the second show in a row that my phone's gone off.
Right on. Is he still out of town?
Yeah, he was driving around. They were going all over the place. They
Right on.
were shooting in Palmdale and then Mammoth and then
Oh, nice.
Seattle or whatever.
More car stuff.
I don't think this one was a car thing.
Right.
I'm sure cars were involved.
You got to get there somehow.
I mean,
suppose.
he pretty much only does car shit now.
Yeah. Stays busy.
Speaking of car shit,
Yep. We've all got them.
will you,
Yes, we do.
for those of you watching at home, Josh has a very super awesome job. In addition to being a legendary camera assistant, he also works on the tool in the film business where they strap a crane to the top of a very fast car and they follow other cars. I'm going to let you take over and
Try
tell.
not to hit shit.
Yeah, can you tell the people at home? Is there an overall word for that? Or
Yeah,
they
arm
usually
car,
go-
camera car.
Yeah,
Is kind of the generic term for it. Sometimes it gets Russian arm, ultimate arm,
Right.
edge arm. There's kind
I
of
make the mistake of calling it by the brand.
yeah,
So, and then people are like, "Well, you're calling it
which
this."
is kind of the way to go. But yeah, it gets
Yeah.
confused sometimes because it turns into a generic term, or people work with one company and then they call it the other company's name,
Yeah.
and everybody gets all butthurt
Exactly.
about it.
You're like, "Oh, we're getting the Russian arm tomorrow," and they're
Yeah.
like, "No, you're not.
No,
you're
you
getting the
ain't."
Pursuit."
Exactly. So they're all very similar. A little bit different technology to make them all work, but it's a similar kind of a gyro stabilized system that helps mount the camera to the end of a chase vehicle.
Mhm.
You can telescope out, up and down. Some telescope, some don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Like a techno.
yeah, a little bit. They're a
Wow.
little more difficult to work with, but because you got a whole other axis to deal with. But
Yeah.
the majority of them are a fixed length. You can change the length. Make it out to about 26 feet. I think is the length. Most of them.
That's really far.
Few of them hit these days, but yeah, it turns pretty sketchy after a while. You got a lot of spatial awareness to make it work.
Is that in 6-foot sections?
Yeah, 6 and 4 foot sections.
Yeah.
Kind of dial it in to see how you need. The shorter you go, the more dynamic you can be. Moves wise and
Yeah,
stuff. But the
just
longer you
spin it
go, you
around.
kind of
And
a little more delicate.
Are you the arm tech
Yeah.
operator guy?
Crane operator and head tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've
So-
been doing that for about 7 years now. Started out,
Right.
PA and then camera assisting, and kind of transitioned
Wow.
into that through a guy that I assisted with that was in charge of working at one company. He brought me in, started sweeping floors, learning and everything, and kind of started out head teching and then transferred into crane op.
For the folks at home, how many people does it take to operate this thing? So there's a driver.
You definitely got minimum 4.
Right.
So you've got a driver, crane op, camera assistant, and the camera operator.
Right.
So the camera operator controls, the pan, tilt, roll, and zoom.
Right. Where the camera's
camera
pointing.
Aims, keep all the shiny shit in the box.
And then the arm guy is
crane up. Crane up.
Hopefully the car is moving forward, but it could go any direction. And then
just not sideways.
The crane on the top can rotate in this orientation, and then the camera can rotate in this orientation. Yep. And that's film school, folks.
Indeed. So it's definitely a coordination of everybody. Usually the driver turns into the AD usually, just to coordinate with the other vehicle. If you're shooting 2 cars, you've got to know where everybody's moving at all times.
Exactly.
A lot of the times before you go out, you'll rehearse, or you'll see the guys sitting around playing with Matchbox cars to kind of safety first, try to figure out where everybody's going to be at what point, especially if you're doing super technical stunts. A lot of the times if you're doing car commercials, it's just kind of, you're just out there hosing it down sometimes. I mean, you get the shots you need, and then you kind of just go massage it and just go kind of find. But it's really fun being the crane op. You get to you're a little more involved, setting up the shots. You get to put the camera where it needs to be, and you talk, directly with the director of photography and the driver. Sometimes you're on comms, or sometimes if it's not that crazy, they'll just have, you'll just be in the car talking to each other.
Is it typical for the DP to be on the wheels for the...
It depends. Some guys it still blows me away how guys can do really, really dynamic stuff on the wheels. Some guys are really good. That's what they've kind of grown up on. It seems like the standard these days is joysticks. So it's just like, if you're good at playing a video game, like we did a Nintendo job a long time ago, and DP was doing all right, and then one of the agency hopped in, asked if he could try, and he just kicked the shit out of the DP. He was doing really good, just because if you're good doing like first-person pilot or shooter games, you're really going to be good doing that.
I'm not good at them, but I spend a lot of time playing them.
Yeah, it takes, and that's the thing. It just takes seat time to learn. Same with being in the crane. When I first started, they didn't just throw me in and you go out and shoot. You go practice in a parking lot and controlled environments. So you're just kind of really trying to make it second nature. So you're not.
So that vendor that hires you to be the crane guy, they have to make an investment in your education.
Yeah, definitely.
So that
and it's
pretty good job security, right?
Definitely, it's seat time. There's a handful of guys that do it, and the ones that aren't very good eventually kind of wash out. Just like being a pilot, I would imagine. It's expensive equipment. There's a lot of risk in it. It's I always tell people it's kind of like being a fighter pilot, because you're doing a lot of dynamic stuff with really expensive gear, but nobody's trying to shoot at you, at least, so that's a bonus.
I think of it as I've never been able to spatially orientate in the Millennium Falcon, where they're like, they can see each other and they're in the guns, but like that seat where you're doing this, if your seat in the car moved the way the crane head and arm were moving,
you'd knock a lot of shit over.
Yeah. Have you ever taken out a light pole?
I have not. The only damage I've done is I've ripped up a matte box, which is the thing that goes on the front of the lens for you lay people.
Right.
That holds the filter on front, which is pretty much the least expensive thing on the car.
Which is still $5,000.
It's still about, anywhere from $600 to a couple grand, probably, depending on what glass or what level of matte box you got on there. But that's why it definitely takes communication, and the time it happened, I just lost sight of the end of the arm, and it got caught like in the A-pillar of the car, and just kind of
could have been worse.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, haven't hurt anybody, haven't hit any vehicles, so that's as long as everybody's safe and no major damage happens. Then
right. Would you say it's typical to have a zoom on there?
Yeah, that's pretty consistent. There's there's a 17 to 80 ingenue. I don't want to get super geeky about it, but that's kind of the standard now. Fujinon has like a 19 to 80 and then some people put like a 24 to 240 on there, so it's a lot of...
But if you were another couple inches this way, then you'd knock that zoom lens right off there, which is mounted to $150-something thousand brain.
And then that just grenade, you can grenade the whole head and everything. Like you could, I've heard stories of people hitting the ground, just completely augering the whole camera into the ground, just snapping it off. And sadly,
it's high
it happens,
stakes, folks.
Yeah, it is.
It's real high stakes. And I think for the crew, for the rest of us, when we get that tool on set,
Oh yeah, it's fun.
It's fun day.
That's the cool. Like you
It's
feel
fun
like
day.
a rock star when you show up a little
Yeah.
bit. You know, it's you still know you got to do your job, and
Yeah.
there's nobody's showing off, nobody's trying to hot shot it, but
Right.
it's
And the crew
fun.
that hasn't worked with them before, they're like, they do exist.
yeah, it's the best job.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll say it over and over. It's the best job I ever had.
100%.
And I've done dishes, so it's more fun than that.
Wow. More fun
Yep.
than dishes?
Exactly.
Nah.
Your hands get so beautiful. But yeah, it's fun. It's cool. It's a good, because you end up meeting, you work with a good group of guys. A lot of the times, you still bounce around with different crews. It's
Yeah.
not always the same driver, crane op and head tech and DP, but you meet a lot of good people, and everybody's usually has the same mindset. You want to do cool shit, go fast, but do
Yeah.
it safely.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of high fives and fart jokes in there. Sometimes it turns in, because
Yeah.
you're in the car sometimes for 14 hours a day. You
Right.
got to have a crew that you get along with, that nobody rubbing anybody the wrong way. And it happens, but
And
you
you're
can
talking
kinda-
specifically about the crew in the
in the
vehicle.
vehicle, yeah.
But the nature of the rental price of that tool to bring it to set
It's pretty steep. Yeah.
kind of lends itself. I mean, would you say that you probably work on higher budget things? Like, you're not just out there cranking out Lil
Well,
Wayne videos.
Yeah, we do. We go anything from like music videos. We've done some student films as well, because a lot of the times they'll kind of help out a student film just to kind of get the foot in the door with that, because that person could someday move up and be the next Michael Bay or whatever.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, exactly. We only need one of them. But yeah, like, so we've done, from music videos, student films, all the way up to, I worked on Ford versus Ferrari, so that was a lot of fun. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, you do high-end stuff, you do low-end stuff, everything in between. And the good thing about it is if people know how to use that piece of equipment, you can save a lot on crew, like not trying to take jobs away from grips or anything, but you can,
I'll tell you where he lives.
but you can do a lot of moves with that arm. It's not just chasing cars and stuff. You can do tracking shots. You can just use it as a boom. So it's a really versatile piece of equipment if production knows how to use it. And it's a big ticket item for sure, because you're paying for the crane, the head in the car, and then you're paying for the 3 to 4 guys working in it. So it's they try to get their best money out of it if they can,
That's
if
right.
they're smart about it. Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
But yeah, it's really fun.
Your first day on set as an arm tech,
Yeah.
was it like, what was that like?
Oh, as a tech or as an operator?
Like
as an operator?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nerve wracking for sure. But again, like you practice enough, like in a parking lot or something, and controlled where you're not on set.
Right.
But it's the communication between you and the driver is key, because you need to know when he's chassising left, if you're swinging right, if there's
Sure.
a tree coming. Sometimes if you're off the back, you're looking out the back, you're not seeing what's coming, the direction you're going.
Is that where you sit in the wayway?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah. You can sit in the far back. We call it the Labrador seat, where the dog goes. It's a
Sure.
little cargo spot. They've manufactured some or fabricated some seats to go back there.
Right.
Monitors in every position, so you can kind of see where you're framing up.
Right.
Sometimes you sit shotgun if you're doing a really close shot off the front, and you need to know, where that head is. You got to
Yeah.
keep an eye on everything.
But you personally, internally, inside,
Yeah.
you go to work that day.
Yep.
Do you feel like, I fucking made it?
Yeah,
Like,
I do. Honestly, like,
Yeah.
if I could coast to this position the rest of my life, I'd be happy. I don't need to be a director.
Yeah.
I don't need to be a DP. I really enjoy it. It's still creative.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just grunt work. You're not just moving something around. You can still help reframe, and kind of help. You're a semi-cinematographer when you're doing that, because you're
Right.
working hand in hand with everybody.
Yeah. And you're responsible for
Yeah.
the...
Missing. There's some shots that those are the nervous ones where you've got the camera in the lane of the oncoming car,
Yeah.
and you're driving head on into the other vehicle,
You
both
got
at 60, 70 miles an hour.
Right.
So that's 140 mile an hour closing speed,
Yeah.
and they always want it to go up the last second. So you just have to stomach it and
And that's you.
keep it on the ground, and right above the ground until the last second, and then you just yoke up and get it out of the way. So
That's insane.
yeah, I mean, it can definitely go bad, but luckily,
Yeah.
knock on wood, it hasn't for me.
Is there, communication-wise, you guys have headsets on,
Sometimes, yeah.
kind of exactly like what we're doing.
Exactly, with little.
Is there a hierarchy in the vehicle of communication? Like, is the driver the commander?
Kind of between the driver and the DP.
Yeah.
They both work hand in hand. A lot of the times before the shot, you'll pull over, park, talk about the shot, and then sometimes if the DP knows, the driver's got it, he'll just say, you figure it out. You let me know how you want to do it, how you want to orient everything. You talk, so there'll be an open mic sometimes, or another walkie in the picture car that you're shooting, stunt driver or precision driver usually. So you'll communicate obviously pretty thorough with them before you do your thing, and then like I said, the AD the driver pretty much turns into the AD, and they own the set at that point. Once the drive, we find out everything's locked up, all the PAs, nobody's sending up an alarm that somebody's breaking lockup or anything.
Yeah.
Nobody says abort.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Which I'm sure, you've heard all this with Dan and Jeremy. They've told you from working on the Gymkhana stuff.
Yeah. And I've done a little bit of that stuff myself.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm better suited for ice cream.
It happens. We got cup holders in there. So
Hey, yeah.
you get a little ice cream Sammy.
I wouldn't mind pulling that thing onto a stage one day and just
No,
using
you can
it.
do it. Yeah. You just gotta, you gotta drain all the fuel, most of the fuel. You're not allowed to have more than like half a tank usually if you're shooting on stage. We've done that before.
Oh, you're talking about big lot stuff. I got stages we can get you on.
Nobody gonna question
I was
it.
doing donuts on a stage last night with Tanner Faust.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
They didn't ask us about draining nothing.
Yeah. Usually though, I mean, if they know the car's going on stage, it everybody might not know, but usually they kind of drain it down to half a tank for
You're talking
for
about
legalities.
the big lots, WB, Universal, Sony, Paramount.
Yeah.
You go to Castaic.
It's all bets are
You
off.
shoot at Bob's big stage. Bob don't care what you bring on
You
his
can
stage.
light it on fire and bring it
Yeah.
in there.
Let's wind you back and do your life story walk
All right.
up. So where were you born?
I was born in Hays, Kansas, which is like western Kansas.
Wow. Thanks for watching, everybody. We
Peace out. But
where
I didn't live there most of my life.
where is Hayes in
Hayes
relation
is
to
it's like at the
civilization?
west third of Kansas, pretty much. Western
Oh,
Kansas.
so it's on the opposite side of the state from Kansas City.
Yeah. Where the deer and the antelope play, pretty
Right.
much. Yeah. So it's and I lived there till I was about 5. Both my parents were school teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Dad was like an English professor. Mom taught like first grade, middle school, and then later on in life taught English as a second language.
Right. But they didn't teach you anything.
Not a words.
Both my moms and dads are smart. I don't know what happened to me.
Weren't farmers at all in Kansas, but definitely,
Wow.
grew up there till I was about 5, and then we moved to LaSalle, Illinois, which is
moving on up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then we moved on back.
Oh, really?
So my dad was chasing jobs over at universities. He worked at Fort Hays State,
Right.
where he started, and then Illinois Valley Community College, I think, IVCC.
Yep. Okay.
And then back to Fort Hays State. And then when I was 12, we moved to La Crosse, Wisconsin, which kind of my formative years there, which is like right on the Mississippi, about 2 hours south of Minneapolis, between
Okay.
Minneapolis and Madison.
Okay.
So spent most of my life there until I was about 22 when I moved out here.
Road noise. I always say that, and then when I listen back to it in the edit,
Nothing.
I can't hear.
This guy's losing it. He's hearing shit.
Lacrosse.
Yeah. Wisconsin.
Was it a big lacrosse
It
town?
was, they had lacrosse. I don't know. It must have got its name, obviously, from that to begin with, but it didn't turn into, it wasn't a huge lacrosse
Right. It's
town.
not the number
We
one
had it at the
lacrosse
college.
capital.
I went to the college there, UW Wisconsin lacrosse. So it was the Wisconsin system, but it wasn't the Badgers, down
Yeah.
in Madison.
And then what? So college up there as well.
Yeah, college till about, I did 2 years at University of Wisconsin lacrosse. Then the dean kind of called me in 2.5 years, and he's like, you've got all the electives you can take without declaring a major. So what do you want to do? I was just taking, all the shit just to kind of pacify myself because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Ceramics. And,
I had fucking friends taking all these things, and like they had a direction and everything. I just didn't have a clue. So once he called me in, I was just looking around like, and I see, I just see my friends stacking up their student debt and shit like that, student loans, and I knew, my parents helped me a little bit, but after that, I got student loan, was just kind of doing it on my own, and I kind of knew that knew enough to know that I didn't want to lock myself into one profession or anything or one study.
Yeah.
So I kind of waved goodbye there, went across the street to a technical school, and took some photography classes.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Were
that
you
kind of
into photography at all? As
I was
a
a
kid?
little bit. My dad was a photographer in the Navy, so he did like aerial photos and
wow.
stuff. He actually has some great photos he just sent me of like John Glenn and all the astronauts in the centrifuge and shit. John Glenn stepping out of the
gotta
centrifuge.
share
They're pretty
those.
cool. They're pretty badass. So he did like, he's got some old black and whites and stuff like that. He
That's
sent me
insane.
didn't send me the negatives. Obviously the government owns those, but he sent me some 8x10s that he brought out last Christmas.
Allegedly.
Exactly. So he kind of sparked my interest with that. He
Yeah.
had some old Mamiya C330 like twin lens reflex. Look through the top, everything's backwards.
Yeah. Did he ever do any of the bombing satellite secret
No.
ride along?
No, I don't
He's
think
just
so. He was in some like the A4s. He'd go up in those every now and take some pictures with that, which are more jets, obviously not
Right.
surveillance camera
Right.
stuff, but yeah, he did some really good stuff with all the astronauts and all their testing. When they were in the Navy and the Air Force before they were astronauts.
And this is as in his 20s, probably.
Yeah, this is right. He joined the Navy to get. He went to the Navy to get his GI Bill, basically to help pay for college. Ended up going to Notre Dame after that.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, he was in the Navy as a UDT.
Okay.
Which is underwater demolition team, frogmen, basically what the Navy SEALs were before they were Navy SEALs. He's
Wow.
a pretty well versed man.
Yeah, I had
English
a
professor.
way different impression when you said English professor. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, he's probably got
He's
some.
definitely had
Probably got some
the
sweaters,
tweed elbow patches.
Sure,
or
he owns a
whatever.
pair of glasses.
But
There's
yeah,
probably
he
a
went-
library
he
in the
went-
house.
Yeah, he did all that just
Wow.
to get paid for the education. He's from Fort Wayne, Indiana, so
Right.
Notre Dame's right up the road, up in South Bend there.
Yeah, that's pretty close to where Jeremy's from.
Yeah. He's is he Gary or
I don't know.
someplace?
He's in
Indiana-ish.
I narrowed
Doesn't
it down
matter.
to the state.
Indiana, yeah.
Somewhere in the same state. That's awesome.
But
so,
yeah,
so
UDT,
Dad's a badass. What happened to you?
Exactly. I fucked up, man. I remember first knowing how badass he was wrestling with him and my brother, and then
Right.
just getting put in some fucking arm lock with his pinky and his
Yeah,
thumb.
he
We're like,
just got you both by the throat.
what happened to Dad?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was cool. Like as a kid, you having that in your mind, you're like, it
Yeah.
just makes you that much more impressed with your dad, But
So when you're having that argument, my dad could kick your dad's
yeah,
ass. You just didn't even
kind of
bother.
humbly bow,
like, but
And that's the thing. He's not a military man. It's not like what he thrives on or who he defines himself. It was just a means to an end to get an education, which I can respect that.
My dad did a couple years in the Air Force, same thing.
Yeah.
Just it was a different time.
Yeah, definitely.
It was everybody knew how to fix their car.
Yeah.
Engineering was
It wasn't. You
fun.
didn't have to plug a computer in to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It seems like, hindsight's 100%. So,
Yeah.
or 50-20 or whatever they say.
Math. Fucking math.
Hindsight is math. That's so funny.
Be a good sticker.
But it seems like that, 50s, 60s era was super awesome.
Yeah.
Just for gearheads or people that wanted to wrench on stuff.
Yeah, the
and
cars back then, man. I've got a '63 Dodge Town Wagon I'm working on.
Yeah.
There are some cars these days that are still sexy, but man, I just
Right.
love that era, 50s, 60s.
Is that
It's pretty gorgeous.
the wagony looking gray thing that you keep posting pictures of?
Yeah.
Is it still gray? Did you get it painted?
No, it's like a powder blue or like a gunmetal blue with a white top. It was like an old ambulance. I brought it from my buddy's place up in.
Nice.
He's works at a winery up in Paso Robles. That it was just kind of sitting there rotting away. And
Yeah.
Put a new battery in it, fired right up. And
Wow.
I know. I was pretty impressed. Pumped the gas a few times. So,
Right.
but yeah.
Hopefully you bought it before you put the battery in it. And what do you want for it? I don't know, $800-900.
I did. I think I bought it for like 22 from him or something. So
Yeah.
it's been, it's a beast of burden. So it's not
Right.
really gonna make me any money. But
But if
it's
it
fun.
doesn't crank, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then you negotiate the price.
Yeah.
And then you put a battery in it. It's
No,
suddenly
we
worth
fired
a whole
it
lot
up there.
more.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of work. I've done a little bit on my own, but the majority of it's been
Yeah.
paying somebody to do.
We have that amazing at-home garage shop that you,
Yeah, it is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a garage, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how I could go back to not having one. It's just
Wait, do you
but it's
really? I
just
was just fucking with you.
garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like a car garage or anything.
Right.
It's just a fucking garage on a house, but
Yeah.
full of shit.
You got your man shop.
Yep, a little
Yeah.
bit.
That's
My
awesome.
boy. Boy spot.
There you
Ah,
go.
it doesn't sound
Man
right.
cave.
We'll edit that.
This is
I don't feel like much of a man most of the time.
that's gonna be hashtag boy spot. Right. It's gonna be on the screen. Right?
Show me on the doll where he touched you. Those are the boy
Just
spots.
you and Steve and a ton of boy. Steve's is enormous dog.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, I'll put a picture of Steve up right here. But
Looks like a wolfhound, but
Yeah.
more of a.
I keep
it's a
saying that I'm not
labradoodle,
going to
yeah.
pull a picture of Steve and put it in the edit right now. I've got too
It'll
many
never
things
show.
to do. I'm 3 episodes back in the edits right now.
Yeah.
So let's.
He's our kid for not having kids. He's definitely the one that keeps
Yeah,
us going.
he's
yeah.
a sweetheart.
He is a douche.
What is he? 400 pounds?
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a Sasquatch.
All muscle, no brains.
Yep, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Built for speed.
Just have him knock through walls when we're doing demo work.
Does he swim in the new pool?
He doesn't touch the pool, but he's fine. He'll get up in the lakes and rivers up in Mammoth and stuff. He jumps
Oh,
around and stuff.
sick.
Like I tried going fishing in Hot Creek, and he just kept going out towards the line, and I thought it was going to hook him a few times.
Oh
but
wow.
Yeah. But yeah, he won't. Luckily, like we were worried when we put the pool in if he'd just hop in there and start swimming, but he doesn't want to touch it, so it's kind of cool.
You think it's the chlorine?
I just think it's a drop to get into this first step. It's not. Whereas the lake and river, he can gradually, trundle in and.
That's cool.
But yeah.
So maybe he's got a brain on him after all.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
He's definitely not stupid. I think he's smart enough to know. Like we get frustrated because we had a couple Australian friends out, and he just doesn't really fucking answer when you call him. That's like our main complaint with him.
Is he deaf?
That's the thing. They were all out and we're yelling at him to come in, and Liz is like, I'm really sorry. He just doesn't listen to us. He won't come when we call him. And the guy's like, oh, I thought he was deaf. Should be, it'd probably be a better excuse if he was, but
he has that look.
Yeah,
that
he's like a professor. I think he's got this long flowing beard.
Really?
Yeah, just
I
these
get the
bushy
whole
eyebrows.
like dumb Falcor kind of thing.
A little bit,
it's
yeah.
like dirt, but
he can play.
I'm not
play
trying to
those two
insult
roles
your
quickly.
dog.
Oh, I insult the hell out of him.
But if
don't
you
worry.
base people's intelligence on what they look like,
yeah.
Steve looks like he would be
he's more of an
riding
Eeyore.
the short bus.
Yeah, exactly. He has licked a few windows in his life for sure.
Oh, you'll appreciate this. So yesterday we were working with television's Eric Roberts.
All right.
Who's Julia Roberts' brother.
Yeah.
And he kept, between takes, he would go right up to the camera, put his face right in the matte box, and lick his thumb, and then
Wipe it on the lens.
hold it right in front of the matte box, and
Ever touch it or just tease?
He said on The Dark Knight that Wally's first AC screamed at him for like 15 minutes.
Yeah. For doing that?
And he did
So this is the thing.
He
This
never,
is
he does it on
chronic for him,
every
yeah.
set. Just goes,
Just giving you something to do,
oh
buddy.
my God. And then every time the second came in with the slate, he'd be like, that's the guy that touched my butt.
Got a good sense of humor there.
Oh,
Can
man.
appreciate that.
He was amazing. He
Yeah.
loved being on set. And I just did that.
Boing.
Man, I'm getting real good at this podcast.
There's
and
a
stuff,
finite
you guys.
amount to that thread, buddy.
There it is. And then this thing goes, and
Oops. Shit happens.
it does. And it just tends to happen when we're live
do.
on the air. So Wisconsin happens. You take a photography class.
Yeah, just stills mostly. I didn't do any video production or anything like that.
Was this in the age of digital photography yet?
No, this is still back in film. I think it was 90. Graduated high school in 95, so it's probably 97, 98. I moved out here in October of 98.
So you caught the bug for photography.
Yeah.
How does that translate into the film world? So what happens when you move
I
here?
was working at a really good restaurant called Freight House. Really, if you got anybody ever in La Crosse, Wisconsin, it's a really good steakhouse. They've got the big 4-level ladder for
We're
the bar
gonna put the
and
number
everything.
here at the bottom so you can call them
But
for
really
reservations.
good. And then one of the waiters there, his good friend that lived out here already, who's from a local town or a town close to La Crosse called Onalaska.
That's all.
He
one
was in the
word?
bar and just got to talking with him, and he kind of invited us out, and my buddy and I, and we just crashed. We moved out in like October '98. Car blew up in Kansas on the way. Maybe it was fate.
Wow.
Goodland, Kansas. I think it blew my head gasket. So about I think I saved $2,500, and by the time I got out here, I had about 6 left. Just because I spent it all on the
Total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rebuild. So we sat in Goodland, Kansas for about a week to get that rebuilt.
Wow.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. There's not much to do in Goodland, Kansas.
Well, you probably did
Pretty-
all the
yeah.
things.
Many of it.
Both
A lot of Walmart trips wandering around.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, then got out here, crashed on my buddy Dan's couch for about 3 weeks, ate all his corn dogs.
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts of the film business, or what was the impetus to get out of Indiana or Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Just to get out of Wisconsin?
Well, my good buddy at that time, the guy I moved out with, he was really into film, and I kind of glommed onto him as far as that passion, and it definitely grew on me, but it wasn't my idea to begin with. He said he was moving out. I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'll go.
Right.
Why not?
That's amazing.
So it worked out really well. We got a couple good gigs, like just got our foot in the door, PA, and Dan was a camera assistant, which is kind of the direction I wanted to go, but, he made the point you got to kind of learn through PA and first, which I can totally respect, and I think most of the producers or directors or DPs I've worked with that had started out as a PA, I think they've got a better knowledge of the industry, because you don't just think you can snap your fingers, and sometimes you can, but
Yeah.
you realize that everybody that has a job here has, what their job is or how hard it is to do their job, so you don't
Right.
just demand shit from everybody.
Yeah.
I think that's a good route to go. I would recommend PA in the start,
That's right.
especially if you don't know, if you want to be in camera or whatever, it's a good stepping stone to figure it out.
Well, what I tell kids now, because kids just ask me questions all the time.
The ones that you're allowed around.
Yeah. Anytime I'm within 500 feet of a school.
The alarm
No, when I go around from elementary school to elementary school giving chats about the film business. Sorry, it's the hangover.
It happens. Yeah, he's a bit
Yeah,
bit
it's
groggy today.
Rough day. If I end up interacting with a younger kid that's like, oh, I've got to go to film school. I'm like, well, do you? Like,
Yeah.
if you want to be a DP, go there and study all that stuff and like learn the technical bits. But if you just want to be in the film business and you graduate from high school,
Yep.
first of all, take a year off and go travel. That's you owe that to yourself.
Definitely.
Second of all, just start PAing. If you PA for 4 years,
Yeah.
you're gonna come out with the same amount of money that you would have spent, and then you know what I mean.
And you'll still have a
it's
shit
the
ton of fun,
opposite.
man. I loved PAing.
Dude.
I mean, it gets such a bad rap, I think, but I met so many good friends that I'm still really good friends with.
Yeah.
I traveled so much, and it gives you opportunity. I travel a lot outside of the film industry too. I would,
Mm-hmm.
my plan was always work 2-3 months, get a shit ton of money, and then go fuck off for a month or two.
Yeah.
That's
Totally.
It's the
Where'd
way
you
to
end
do
up
it.
going? What was your first trip once you moved here?
Just all overseas and shit. That's actually where I met my wife. I was just traveling over in Spain with another PA that I worked with. He ended up bouncing out, and then I traveled along for about a month on my own, and ended up bumping into my wife there, and worked out pretty well. Yeah, a few
Bumping.
times.
Bumping.
Few
Ended up
bumpings.
bumping my wife.
Some bumpings happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So
The
you
longest-
meet an Australian girl in Spain.
Yeah. We were both traveling in Spain, and
Yeah.
we were both kind of on a boat. I just come from Interlaken, Switzerland, so I had a Swiss hat on. So I think her and her friend both thought I was Swiss.
Right.
And the other one's like, I don't know. I think he might be American.
His accent doesn't sound Swiss.
Exactly.
What do they speak in Swiss or Swiss?
Swiss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
I
speak
think
Swiss.
they speak Swiss.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of
Shout
hot
out to all
chocolate
my
coming out of their
Swiss
mouth
listeners. Yeah. It's great. We're
But-
building our international following
Indeed.
one country at a time.
But yeah, so I mean, it just allows you to go travel and meet cool people.
Yeah.
People you might spend the next 17 plus years of your life with. So.
That's right. And especially in
That's
that
pretty
PA mindset when you're young, dude, just cram 4 or 5 guys in an apartment,
Yeah.
split the rent.
Yeah.
We did it. When we
Indeed.
moved out here, we had 3 guys, 2 dogs, and then 2 months after we moved here, remember Keith met his wife and moved her in.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah, so you probably had a much fatter pad than you could afford
Dude,
on
I
your
paid
own. Just the one bedroom.
$267 a month for my room when we first
Shit.
moved here.
Yeah.
The total rent was $1,200.
Yeah.
The guy over here, we built out the living room to be his room.
Yeah.
And then since our buddy Keith moved a girl in, we were like, you guys got to pay 2 shares of the rent.
He sounds
Just because you're using one room doesn't mean you can't.
Yeah.
So dumb looking back on it. So we made them pay $600, and then me and Al would split the other $500-600.
Nice.
Because math.
Yep. But yeah, just as a PA, I don't know where you came from before, but from a bartender standpoint, in my mind, in Wisconsin, you're not making a shit ton. It's not like you're working at the Saddle Ranch or something.
I was very well off when I moved here.
Okay.
I was in real estate. So
You're a mogul. But yeah, you go from that to doing whatever you're doing to making 150 to 200 a day, and that just
Yeah.
seems like a shit ton. You're like,
Yeah.
all I got to do is drive around trucks and move
So-
some chairs and
right.
trash cans and shit.
set up breakfast and then
Hang out with
set up
a bunch
lunch.
of fucking people.
Yeah.
It's fun, yeah.
and go cool
It's a good
places,
time.
meet cool people, see cool shit.
Yeah.
We have a buddy, Nick, who's been on the show a couple times. Nick Pyatt. He just left retail after 17 years of managing Guitar Centers.
Yeah.
He just up and quits in like September, and he's like, "I work for you guys now."
Nice.
And he is a
Loving it,
37-year-old production assistant, and he loves it.
Yeah.
Shout out Pyatt. Come back on the show.
Yeah, it's good times, man. Even,
Yeah.
just from not all PAing, moving
Right.
into camera and stuff. It's just fun. My favorite part is just seeing friends that I started PAing with now that are, you see on set and they're producing or
Exactly.
location manager
Yeah.
or directing. It's cool to see people you've known for 20 plus years moving up and everybody doing their own thing and finding their own path.
How long did you PA before? And did you specifically camera PA or
No, I started out PAing and then I kind of transitioned to stills assistant and then I did art department. I kind of bounced all around but never really locked into a path until until I started being like the in-house camera assistant at this company called Cucalores Films, which I don't think they're still up and running.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the director DP owned all of his own cameras, so I learned, all the Aries, all the Atons. Like there's 3 or 4 different formats that I was kind of figuring out, kind of keeping track of and learning how to load and everything like that.
Yeah, because back in the day, kids, there was film inside the camera.
Indeed. Cellulose.
I was fortunate enough to get about the last 3 years of the film world before when I got here.
Yeah. It was fun.
At what point were you like, yeah, camera, that's it, I'm going to land in this world, I'm going to do that? And then did you start second ACing before? Or I guess back then you load.
Much. Yeah, like that was an in-house loader, camera assistant kind of. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think I always kind of wanted to go into camera. I think it really helped that the guy moved out here and stayed, the guy whose couch we crashed on, he was in the camera department. So he kind of gave me that direction to begin with. But it seemed like the least amount of bullshit to deal with as far as lugging stuff. I mean, now you're still lugging cameras and stuff, but I watch grips and electrics and it just looks pretty painful. All freaking
somehow it's socially acceptable on set for you guys to have these massive fucking carts to push around.
Yeah.
And everybody else has to just lug their shit. I mean,
well, they got big carts as well.
They do too, but they're so big that they have to stay outside.
Yeah, exactly.
But you guys get to push your shit right up to set. It's great.
And now, like, morphing into the arm car, I don't really have much equipment. I've got a little pouch of tools here and there, but the majority of my work is the prep. You gotta build the crane how you want it, or test the head and everything. And usually, when you show up on set, once your gear's all up and running, you don't have to. There's no carts to push around. There's nothing you gotta really lug.
Yeah. Let's take you back to loading.
Yep. Sorry.
And then. It seems like loading would be a bigger responsibility than second
it is.
ACing.
You've got all the responsibility in one can. Like you've got however many cans at the end of the night, and if you've messed up or loaded them wrong or flashed them, opened it and seen it's seen the light.
If you're not film savvy, film gets exposed to light at a certain time frame rate, and that's what creates the image. If you re-expose it to any light whatsoever, all the film's dead. You have a very big responsibility. The whole show's on your.
Yeah.
But then, is it considered in the camera department a promotion or a step up when you start second ACing after loading?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the hierarchy. Loader or camera utility these days is the low, if you want to call it low on the totem pole, but there's still an intricate part.
It's your entry level.
Yeah, and then you go to loading, then you go to seconding, firsting, camera operating, and director of photography usually is the proper.
When you switched when you moved up from seconding to firsting. Were you...
That was a good coffee burp there.
Yeah.
I'm classy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Starbucks. So for those of you at home, again, I can't imagine there's anybody that listens to the show that's not at least remotely interested in the film business, because we get so inside baseball here. But when you started pulling focus...
Yeah.
And I guess this kind of applies to, the first time that you got chair time in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like going up from seconding to firsting and knowing that you gotta?
It's definitely more stressful. Like you have, as you go up, you have more responsibility. Maybe not more, but a different line of responsibility for sure. But yeah, it's stressful. It's it's fun because again, the more you go up, the more you're intricately involved with the art and the creation. If you're racking focus from something to something, you can do it quick or slow to make it look, have the look you want.
No one ever notices when focus is perfect.
Yeah, you only get yelled at when it's fucked.
And the only word you hear is focus, 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 focus.
If you're doing it right, you shouldn't be talked to.
So rude. Yeah. It's the rudest thing someone can do.
Yeah.
Because they don't. I don't think directors really compute that that's a human that's doing that.
Yeah.
They think it might be something in the brains of the camera.
Yeah.
So they're just telling the DP, they're like,
these days you've got the instant gratification. You can hit playback or you can watch VTR playback and know if you got the shot. But, back when it was film, it was only you and the operator looking through the eyepiece to know if it was good or not. And sometimes, you don't know until you get the dailies back the next day. I've had, I had one AC that I worked with. His motto was go to bed drunk, wake up scared. Because he would just drink his nerves away at night and then wake up, like, fuck, I don't know if I got that shot or not. You don't know until you go, especially on TV. You go in every day. They used to bring in the dailies the next day. So sometimes it'd be a family watching it at lunchtime on the camera truck to see if you got the shot or something.
Wow.
Those people that were super intricate in their art and really wanted to know. A lot of guys just kind of, if I don't hear anything, then I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get yelled at.
So what about like locations that you only have available for one day? Like,
Yeah, that's the thing.
You just gotta find
especially big stunts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
If there's a huge stunt and car coming at you really fast, and you don't know if you've got the shot because you gotta throw focus to make sure it's all in.
wow.
And,
Yeah.
So a lot of those, they do big pyro shots or something. You don't really have
Right.
many more than 1 or 2 takes. So
My stunt guy yesterday was telling me about some Steven Seagal movie that I was doing. The pyro was only supposed to be 6 feet by like 10 feet. You were
Yeah.
supposed to jump off this oil rig or whatever. And it ended up being like 75 feet by like 120
too much
feet.
boom boom.
Yeah, and they were all on those like jump launcher
Yeah.
thingies. And he said that passed them by 30 feet and got all the way to the camera department. So the camera guys got like their
seared
eyebrows
hair.
singed off, and they had to do 10 days in the hospital.
Jesus.
Yeah, shout out
Sorry
Tony.
to laugh. I guess I shouldn't laugh.
Burning people is funny.
Yeah, I've got a cousin that has his own special effects company,
Yeah,
and he does a lot of good stuff too. But yeah, it grows exponentially. It's not like you just put a little more gunpowder and it's
No.
going to be just a little bigger. It's
right.
It's a whole different set
always-
of science for
I always
that.
tell those guys, whatever you have in your head, like special effects pyro
Yeah.
guys,
Take
I
it
want
down
10% of that and then cut it in half.
Exactly.
I don't know
We
why I
can
don't
always-
just say 5%.
You can always go up. You can't
Yeah.
go back. Yeah.
So did your cousin with the special effects company, did he move out here after you moved here?
Yeah. He was from Naperville. I think he moved out Illinois, just outside of Chicago. He
Yeah.
moved out, started special effects assisting, and then like 4 or 5 years ago, kind of started his own company, Night Effects. So
he's Night. Oh,
yeah. You probably
same
worked
last name.
with Zach
Oh,
is his
yeah.
name. Yeah. But yeah, he's got his
Jesus,
own.
I'm
his own
not hitting
shop and
today.
everything.
I'm so
That's all
sorry.
right. That's all right.
That's fascinating.
But yeah, I finally got to work with him. He's been out here about probably 15 years as well,
Yeah.
and I finally worked with him other than PA and back then. Worked with him on set
Right.
the other day, or November, I guess he was on a show that I was working on.
That's cool.
So it was cool to see him. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you get out here. How long was the process from like PA,
into
into
camera?
like
It was-
deciding on camera? And,
It was probably 4 to 5 years PA,
Right.
and then again I did stills assistant for a couple year and a half, something
Yeah.
like that, and that was doing a lot of car stuff, and it just happened that the photographers I worked for were doing car stuff, so it was like the safari arm, which they rigged to the outside of the
Yeah.
and they mount it underneath the car, and then it comes out and puts the camera way outside, up to about 15 feet sometimes.
Really?
And then they just do a slow shutter, like a lot of maybe
that's how you get
10
the
years.
motion
It looks,
blur.
yeah, I get the motion blur. It looks
Wheels
like
are
the tires
spinning,
are. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And then all you have to do is Photoshop out the arm.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's cool.
And that
So-
was a lot of fun. I
so that's
enjoyed
how you do
that. Yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, probably 4 to 5 years before I started locking in doing camera work and stuff like that.
So for that kind of stuff, would you just have like a base camp in a parking lot, mount the camera
Yeah,
up?
pretty much. And I love stills assistant because you're lighting, your gripping, your camera assistant. So you're learning all the trades. It's really
Yeah.
cool. It's usually a smaller, like maybe 12 people tops on the crew,
Mhm.
a little more relaxed. Not
Yeah.
lax, but relaxed, I guess.
Right. Nobody's running around yelling.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a smaller footprint. You
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like you're as intrusive to the environment, like you're shooting in a city street. These days, everybody freaking hates film industry. It seems like
Mm-hmm. Here
But,
in LA.
yeah,
for
people
sure.
which is weird because it's what made the city almost.
And if
Or
I
keeps
think
it
if
going.
the average resident of Los Angeles knew how much the film business contributes to
Everything,
the overall
yeah.
well-being, just in the permit fees that we pay
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that
But get off
for a
my
while.
lawn.
Exactly. Stay the fuck off my lawn.
Yeah, until locations knocks on the door and goes, "We'll give you $1,500 to have lunch in your backyard today."
Cool. Then
What,
there's always
y'all want
the-
to come back tomorrow?
The leaf blower guy that's not getting paid anything. He just
Oh,
fires it
yeah.
up so he can get a few bucks here and
We
there.
were just talking about that the other night about how we think there's a guy with a shitty truck and a lawn and a blower that just pulls
Just finds
film
out what
LA
the permits. Yeah,
and
I
goes,
bet. I
"Oh,
wouldn't doubt it,
okay."
man.
You
I've
can make
got
a good living doing that
got
shit.
a buddy that does locations, and he's got some stories of people just trying to milk
Yeah.
money out of the industry.
Dude. And it's so funny because they'll tell you about like, hey, if I'm on Transformers 2,
Yeah,
we'll pay that boat $50,000 to move because we want to see the horizon of the ocean.
exactly.
But if you're on a small indie film, you're just begging and pleading with
afford it,
people.
yeah.
It's like, can we shoot in your house, please?
You can have lunch.
Right.
We've got sandwiches.
They're Italian. Oh.
Yeah,
I wonder how many films have been made off the backs of Italian sandwiches. and
probably
stuff.
a shit ton.
Yeah.
Subway keeps it running. I
Right?
wouldn't call that Italian, I guess, would it? More mafioso.
I don't know. Depends on who's, if you go to a Subway in Jersey, you probably get a
Yeah, I suppose.
probably
There's gotta
get a
be somebody
tasty
there.
submarine sandwich. So at what point when you met, we'll still call her your wife until you feel like saying her name.
Yeah,
In
You set me up. Her name's Elizabeth.
no, no, but I have sent her clips of this show in reference to shit that I've talked about certain people that she works with, and she's been giving me some really great advice
The clan.
about
Indeed.
not talking shit on the podcast.
Oh yeah, no. Just it's a good in general. Don't talk shit.
I
It usually gets back to
I
you.
fucking love it.
It is fun.
I'm putting it on the
It
internet
can
for
bite
everybody.
you in the ass though.
Did she still live in Australia when
She
you met
did.
her in Spain?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we met. We spent maybe it couldn't have been much more than 6 days together.
Mm-hmm.
And then she flew back to Australia. I still traveled around, went down to Morocco, back up the coast and stuff.
Fancy.
And then we were just emailing, talking on the phone for about 3 months. And then I went down to Australia for a month in October, November.
Okay.
Hung out with her for about a month, drove around, met all her friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then she came up in December, early December. I think she left.
What year is this?
This is 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So met her 2000. Yeah. Well, 2002. Met her 2002. We got married 2003.
Yeah.
It wasn't a romantic proposal or anything. We were basically, she came up, hung out. I actually got her on a job PAing when she
cool.
was up here.
I could not picture her.
She fucking ran circles around other PA.
bet.
She was solid.
I
She was a
bet.
good fucking set PA, great office PA. She always was like an office manager back home.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of just a different format for her. She transitioned into it really well.
But I met her
But
in
she
her
was a
current
great-
position. So
Yeah,
I
over at
think
FX.
in my head, she was born
Yeah.
an executive.
Yeah.
Like in elementary school, she's just like, I run this bitch.
Some people would say that. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
really, really good office work. Everything.
Yeah.
Like she knows how to run it for sure.
She's good at the office work.
That's my knowledge of office work. Fucking
Right.
She does this.
We're going to need some more TPS reports, Larry.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dude, when I watch movies about office stuff, I'm like, that looks like that sucks.
Yeah, I can't understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she definitely thrived. Like I said, great set PA, great office PA, and just kind of excelled really quickly.
Right.
I think she coordinated for maybe a year or two before she was PMing, and then kind of morphed into working over with the FX people. They've been really good to her, really good to me. I've been working on a lot of those jobs as well as an AC.
Yeah.
And they go all over, man. They were gone to Tunisia with them. We were about, I don't know how far. We were maybe 20 miles from the Syrian border shooting in Tunisia.
Filming.
Filming, exactly. I learned that the hard way.
I learned that at the
we're
airport.
shooting. No, you're fucking not.
We're going shooting in Syria.
But yeah, like Israel, been over to Moscow, London, Budapest, everywhere. They've done some, because all their original FX shows they do the promos for. So we were doing, what was the Americans in Moscow? We went and shot all the opening title credits, stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Does, what's his nuts, DP that stuff too? Paul?
Yeah.
So he does opening title credit stuff for FX too?
Yeah, back then we were doing that. Like we
Wow.
sometimes it's just now it turns into the graphics department. So as you know,
Oh,
we've
right.
got 3 or 4 different units back
all-
then. But before then,
Hey, Cyrus, come on in, buddy.
what's happening?
This is Alex Cyrus,
Hey, man,
Josh
how's it going?
Knight.
Josh.
Hey, Josh. Great to meet you.
Thanks, you too.
Are you hanging out for a bit?
I don't know. I got like 3 calls, so I might as well drive while I'm doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably go outside and take 5 and then start packing.
All right. Well, we got 10 minutes left, so see you in 10 if you're still here.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll be here in 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Alex Cyrus, everybody. He's
I'll be
on
here.
episode 34,
talk
the
to you.
Squadcast.
Oh, yeah. That's. You guys remember me from episode 34 of the Squadcast.
Television's Alex Cyrus, everybody.
Much rejoicing.
Great kid, that guy. He's I won't talk nice
Great
about him in
beard.
front of him, but that's a wicked strong beard.
Indeed.
So the proposal wasn't.
It wasn't
Ro-
super romantic. We basically realized that if we were going to continue the path of traveling and seeing each other, because you could only do it for a month without getting a big old
Really?
visa or green card or whatever. You
Oh,
can only
wow.
really be I think you can be for 3 at most.
Wow.
But we kind of decided, I think it was 2 days after she got home, I called her and I basically, I'm like, so.
Would you like your American
should we-
citizenship?
Should we just get married or something? She's like,
Wow.
yeah, okay. It wasn't, and that's the thing. It wasn't a super romantic, storybook proposal, but, we figured that's the only way we're going to
Right.
get a try it. So just put the old college effort in, which probably
Yeah.
isn't a good thing because I quit college, but
Right.
not quitting this. But
Had you guys moved up from PA at that point?
I was on the precipice of going from PA to camera assistant. I was kind of in-house camera PA, camera
Cool.
assistant.
And then had she gotten hired on at FX yet?
No, definitely not. She got in with me over at Kukaloris as well.
Okay.
Did some jobs there, and then bounced around to Backyard and MJZ, stuff like that. Kind of
Yeah.
bounced all around.
Backyard.
Indeed. Are they still going? I don't remember.
But-
Backyard?
Eh,
I don't remember if they're
I don't
still,
know.
because they used to be down in Venice, right?
I wonder
Santa Monica?
I wonder if this frame moved.
I don't know. I sat up a little. Is it cutting heads off?
I don't know.
I feel like
I'm
it
just
has.
gonna do this.
I can slink down a little.
No, it's super. like you
Ancho?
could probably see the ceiling
Right on.
and right up your nose.
Good. I should have done some manscaping.
Yeah, me
there.
too.
Trimming.
So you're married,
Yeah, 17 years now.
dude.
Doesn't show, does it?
Against all
I
odds.
haven't matured once.
Right? That's
One
the fun
step.
part, though, right?
But yeah, it's been fucking great, man. We both travel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Go down to Australia probably once every year.
Oh.
See her, or every other year probably, see her family and everything. We went down this year for
Yeah.
Christmas and New Year's. Kind of a mess down there right now as far as
Yeah.
just,
It's on
she's
fire.
in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So it's, just above Tasmania there
Yeah.
as far as the geography of it. I don't
Did
know.
you guys
many
get married
people
down
know.
there, or you got married up here?
We did too. We did a commitment ceremony. Legally, she had to not be married to move here because we got her in here on a spousal visa, which was easier than doing a fiance visa. Sorry, which was easier than doing a spousal visa for some reason. I would think them knowing the commitment of being married would be more solidified than we might get married, but paperwork wise, everything, it was easier to just be a fiance visa. So I went down there April 2003 and we did a marriage in her, or commitment ceremony, whatever you want to call it, in her parents' backyard, which is kind of out, I wouldn't say in the boonies, but definitely out a little of the city, probably 20 minutes outside of Melbourne. Bunch of her friends, and then she came up here in August of that same year, and we did a wedding up on Sycamore Beach, up on PCH there.
In
just north.
California?
Yeah,
Oh.
just north of Neptune's Net there.
All the family came out from Indiana and Wisconsin. And
Yeah, it was good. Rented out the beach for the night, and had a couple campers come out, and everybody else brought tents and shit.
That's
so we just
cool.
had bonfires. And
yeah.
got a local catering company to do all this. So it was more like a production. We showed up, we
sure.
went to a prop house and rented a huge 8-foot waterfall and a little DJ kit and everything
Oh,
like that. And
nice.
little tiki hut for the DJ and stuff. So,
Yeah.
it was good. It was fun.
And then honeymoon, anywhere fun?
We kind of we did our first honeymoon. We both met in Thailand before she moved here. Did three weeks around Thailand, all the islands, went climbing down in Krabi, and kind
Wow.
of just ate ourselves silly on Thai food. And then, that was amazing. It was
Is
so
Thai food in
good.
Thailand better than the Thai food in the
What
valley?
do you think? Come
I
on.
don't know. I've never been
Oh,
to Thailand.
it sucked because we couldn't. It took until our probably 2 weeks into it to finally, because we both like super spicy food. It took us forever up until the point I had to have my climbing guide, because I paid for a climbing guide to just take me around all the cliffs and the beaches and stuff. We kept saying, we keep ordering it spicy, but they're giving it to us round eye spicy. Like, can we get some fucking authentic spicy Thai food? So he took us to this little fisherman village, and he ordered everything and just fucking floored us.
Just
It
lit you up.
killed us. Yeah.
Can you take it?
Yeah, I used to be able to. Now it's kind of, I still like the heat, but it turns into something more.
I cap out at Taco Bell mild.
You
That's-
pansy.
That's it. That's all I got.
But yeah, so we did 3 weeks there. Then when she came here, got married about a month later, and then we drove all the way up to Seattle, and then over to Wisconsin, and then back down. We just did a month honeymoon, going through Yellowstone and stuff like that, camping most of the way.
Just
So
showing her around
yeah,
America.
exactly. Getting her the lay of the land, the
Right.
good parts.
Right. From sea to shining sea.
Exactly. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, she's doing well. She's staying super busy, and we have a lot of fun on those shoots, as you know. It's always good. It's always a little chaotic and
So
changes.
much fun to have.
It's fun, man. As long as I always talk, when I may see it on them, I'm usually, I'll get guys in, and a couple of the new guys when they come in, I always give them the talk. I'm like, it's different. But as long as you can be flexible and not get frustrated if something changes, you'll be fine. Everybody's super cool. It's a family for sure. Nobody's yelling at anybody from the top down.
It's like a family reunion
Yeah.
on every shoot.
Yeah.
As if your family was dysfunctional.
There's
as
a few headbutting here and there, but it always gets the job done.
A lot of love.
They've won Pro Cam, or not Pro Cam, what is it, the Pro
Every
Max.
fucking year,
Like
right?
for the last 8 or 9 years,
Yeah. I mean, you can't really fuck with the stats.
Yeah, all their promos are freaking. They do a lot of cool, like in-camera effects, and then post-visual effects. They do some really good, strong work for sure.
Yeah, that American Horror Story stuff is always
that was fun. Yeah,
ridiculous.
and it's always 2 or 3 different formats of cameras, like all the way from 8mm up to 8K. It's everything in between. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. Wow.
A bit of a stressor, but it's good. Yeah, indeed.
If you want to be the best.
You gotta work with the best of
Yeah.
them.
I'm glad you finished that, because I was like,
I didn't mean to brag.
I started a sentence without knowing how I'm going to finish it again. That's what
Yeah.
gets me in trouble.
Yeah, indeed.
A lot.
Dig up, stupid.
Yeah.
My most used Simpsons quote.
Yeah.
Dig up, stupid.
They have been surprisingly accurate about futuristic predictions.
Oh, yeah. Scary.
Someone posted I'm not going to say that.
I'll use other words sometime.
Yeah. Just a person that they have correctly anticipated things they put him in a casket at a funeral
Oh, yeah?
in an episode. I don't know if that's been since his election or not.
Let's hope.
I don't
Or
wish
not.
I don't wish
Yeah.
that on anybody.
Let's
but
not get political.
no.
Sadly.
Well, let's see here. We did it.
Right on.
Well,
Powered through.
we owe the people another 14 seconds.
Nah, it's not going to happen. I'm out. Get what you get.
Josh, thanks for coming on the
Thank you
show
very
and
much,
sharing
man.
our
Appreciate it.
sharing
I've been
your
wanting to
story
come in for
with
a
us.
while,
Yeah, and thanks for listening.
Good show. I
And
dig it.
I have a
dig it.
parting gift for you.
Aw, shiz.
I got stickers.
Oh, nice. I thought it was a kiss.
Oh,
A little let down.
that'll be off
Once
camera.
these are done.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
you
We
very much.
appreciate you and all your support. Still haven't heard from whoever the fuck it is that's listening in Spain. So please send me an email. Or it occurred to me
Vamos.
this morning that it's probably just somebody with a VPN.
Just trying to steal
Right, just
Netflix.
Pinging it off to Spain. We'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you much.